Hey, what's up everybody? Bdf 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so going out doing a little more grocery shopping. It's always something I'm running out of that I forget, which is fine because it gives me an excuse to go do my routine. Try to get a little exercise. I'm feeling much more energetic today, even though I'm not 100% in my energy. It's getting better slowly but surely. Yesterday I was tired. The day before that I was really tired, but I still was able to force myself to get the exercise work that I wanted to do done. And it's a blessing to be able to fight through frustration, fatigue, to be able to accomplish your goals. So I was listening to somebody say something in regards to the Lakers about practicing when you're exhausted or practicing when you're tired. And you know, it was one of those situations where I just wanted to reiterate that point. Sometimes if you want to get the most out of yourself, you got to push yourself when you're already tired. Rest is important, recovery is important, and you can risk injury in doing so. So you want to have a balance about what you're doing, listening to your body. But sometimes when you know that you're trying to build your conditioning, maybe you've taken a week off and now you've given yourself 3 straight work days of your exercise, maybe it is good to try to do a little something on that 4th day, even though you're tired, because you're trying to build that conditioning. So that's what I'm trying to do, and I feel a little better today because I worked through yesterday and the day before that. So that's what I want to say there. And I'll walk past this thing. But yeah, man, I feel pretty good. Other than that, I mean, the smoke detector was going off in my room. Luckily enough, it wasn't in the wee hours of the morning. I was well awake when it started, but that thing's been going off. Every time there's a gloomy day, it's almost like it detects whatever fog coming through the window, because I leave my window open. Whatever that's coming through the window, it detects as smoke or something. I don't really know how that works, but that's the theme around here. So it starts beeping on these type of mornings. But you know, I told the folks at the front desk about it. You know, hopefully they'll be able to get to it. They maintenance on it, I guess that's what you call it. They did work on it on Saturday when this happened, but once again, it's doing the same thing. He said the wiring wasn't any good. I honestly, if I remember correctly, this is the same room where I removed it. And I told y'all, I think I may have since mentioned that I removed the smoke detector from one of the rooms that I was in, and told them about it, and they would, you know, not pleased with me for doing that, to say the least. This is the same room. They put me back in that room. It's only been, what, I think 4 months at the most since that happened. I don't even think it's been that long. And so, yeah, I'm back in that same room, and it's giving me the same trouble. But I know better than to pull that thing out of the wall this time. I'm not going to do that. So, certain mistakes, you're lucky enough if you can make it once. You don't want to make them twice. And I'm not going to try to risk my tenure in this place or my reputation for breaking rules, stuff like that. So, yeah, man, that's what it is. Dealing with that smoke detector, and it's giving me hell, man. But, you know, I'm very thankful it hasn't woken me up in like 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning. That's what I'm very thankful for. But yeah, man, I ain't really talking about nothing right now. I think yeah, it was funny, man. I was looking at out my window on, I think it was Friday randomly, and I saw my buddy who works at the front desk, of whom I pray for, and she was hopping in the trash can, like the big trash dumpster, to try to get something out of it, along with 2 other people. They were literally jumping in the bin to grab something out of it. And my thinking was, you know, this is funny, and I laughed and I let them know that I seen it. And I felt bad. I'm like, yo, I don't want her to think I'm laughing at her. It's probably embarrassing, you know what I mean? But as I meditated on it, and this is the truth, when I meditated on it, as I often do, meditate on things in regards to this person, what came to mind was, this is yet another example of her character bleeding through in a positive way, to say that she put herself potentially at risk, you know, because there's all these different things that could go wrong. There's viruses that you can get, but potentially at risk, so that someone at her job could get what they needed out of there. Someone that threw that. She told me just now, I called her up and talked to her about it. And she told me that basically what they did was, someone had accidentally thrown the trash can in the trash dumpster, and you know, they wouldn't let her get it out throughout the course of her day, which makes it even worse, to be honest with you. But at the end of her shift, after she clocked out, she was determined to get it out of there for that person, because they weren't able to get it themselves. Probably someone elderly, because she does a lot of stuff for elderly people around there. That was my guess. But, you know, when I meditated on it, before having that confirmation today, the Lord was essentially telling me, like, this is why I had you pray for this person, because at the end of the day, she really does have a high character, and she really will put herself out there for others. You know what I mean? She really will sometimes not protect herself in the name of trying to protect the people that she appreciates. And this is yet another example of her having that character, that high level character that the Lord is really pleased with and wants to see her continue to cultivate in a more in more ways, I guess is what I'm saying. And so without even knowing what it was, the Lord was showing me, like, yo, this is why I have you pray for this person. This is why that person is somebody that you've taken a liking to, because they are of high character and a good soul. And so I was like, you know what? Now, after having that thought about it, I felt bad for laughing. So my thinking was, let me let her know, like, yo, what I thought about and meditated on in regards to the Lord showing me that this was yet another example of your high character. And then furthermore, let her know, like, yo, this is not something I would do. And it's inspiring to say that you make me want to be better in that way. You make me want to not necessarily hop in trash cans, but to put myself more so at risk for whatever, what have you, so that someone else can be better. I think it speaks to the character that inspires others. And, you know, I told her, hey, I didn't mean to laugh at you. I just thought it was hella funny that y'all was hopping in the trash can. So, you know, but it's one of those situations where it's like, I didn't want her to feel bad about it. She said that she thought it was funny. She didn't think I was laughing at her or making fun of her. And so that was my hope, is to make her feel good about herself, because I would imagine that was embarrassing to a degree. But I knew she wasn't doing it for herself. I knew that she wasn't jumping in there because of something that belonged to her, but more so because it was somebody else. And I was, sure enough, that was what it was, man. And so I just wanted to document that. It's to say that it's a lot of us out here who only self-serve. It's a lot of us who, like myself, will consider the germs and the various different things that ultimately can go wrong when we put ourselves on the line for others. But at the end of the day, it's one of the most respectable things to think of when considering a person's memory or a person's character. When it's all said and done, you will remember the things like that someone did that put themselves at risk to assure that someone else got what they needed. That unselfishness and that honorable high character is something that I'd like to think I can do enough of to give people good memories of myself. And so while I told her, hey, yo, I advise everybody, don't hop in a dumpster, dude. It's too many different diseases and too many different things that can go absolutely wrong when you do something like that. And I think most of us understand that. And I believe she understood that, but that was the risk she was willing to take to make sure that she came through for somebody else. And most importantly, to assure that they didn't try because it was more dangerous for them in her eyes than it was for her. And so I think that's just an honorable thing, and I want to document that. To say that in the moment it was funny, and even looking back on it, still funny. But what it truly is a demonstration of high character that I think more of us should duplicate in our own lives as safely and as carefully as the Lord would allow. And so, yeah, man, high character stuff, man. At the end of the day, when I speak on things on this channel, this is my way of doing it. You know, putting my voice out there to speak for what maybe others are afraid to, others are protecting against whatever could come wrong their way for doing so. It's kind of what I'm trying to display as well in a different way. And I'm not pleased with what I'm seeing in regards to so many people not being willing to do that for the cause that I'm speaking about. You know, we need to really do more and talk more and fear less in regards to this conversation. People are really suffering ills that are in our worst nightmares in our lives, and we don't necessarily give them credit to say that their humanity deserves to be fought for in a way that maybe puts our lives at risk. But we always, particularly us black folks, I can't speak for other communities, but we always appreciate when others do it for us. We greatly benefit from when others did it for us. And so as a person who understands that and genuinely appreciates when non-black people stand up for black people causes, sometimes to their own ridicule and risk, it really does make me want to stand up and just appreciate that type of energy in whatever form or fashion I see it, and most importantly want to display it in whatever form or fashion I can. And I think that that's the element of good character, and what truly inspires the devotion that often we hope that fear does when we inflict fear on people and reflect and try to generate power over others. That devotion, that undying devotion, is inspired by this energy more so than fear, more so than leverage, in my opinion. You want somebody to fight to the death for your honor, you got to show them that you are honorable. And in that honor, they will feel that it's honorable to fight for you. And so that's another reason why I hope to display this in my own channel, and to say next time you see a black person in some trouble, maybe I'll be an example of one that might be honorable enough to stand up for, to fight for, to protest for. If somebody goes and does something to me, that you'll feel like it was worthy that you stood up for me because I stood up for others. And I don't think enough of us teach one another that. I don't think enough of us respect that enough to want to do that. We'll do it for ourselves, we'll do it for our own people, but that's the essence of just standing for what benefits you. And I don't think that truly displays the same honor as unselfishness and talking about things that don't necessarily apply to you. And you think about people who they put privilege down in order for others not to suffer, for which they may not see or know or care to know. Like that's the essence of what will ultimately end a lot of the suffering in the world that we see, is people who benefit from it having something to say about it, putting down their privilege for the sake of those who are suffering to stop suffering. I think it's needed in order for people to stop suffering. And when you see the suffering that we're seeing, it would be great. It would be absolutely great if everybody truly had a heart for this type of thing, and less of a heart for the privilege of an easy life or a soft life, as many people are dreaming for from within some difficult circumstances. And so, privilege provides a lot of indifference a lot of times in the hearts of those who aren't taught how to love. And that indifference is very harmful, and the silence is very violent when it comes to conversations such as genocide and racism. And so, unfortunately enough, it doesn't hold the same amount of weight as somebody who's not affected by this in some way, being caring enough about it in a passionate way. I think it's very easy for somebody who's from a community that's been through enough to know to respect this. I don't think it hits the same as somebody who's not, who has privilege, who has even wealth, standing up and saying, from within my privilege and wealth and my lack of a relatability to this, I still am passionate and want to see others not suffer. Like that holds so much more honor and so much more weight than somebody who can relate, saying, this is why I respect it, because I've watched my people go through it. I'm just one of many who should know to respect that. But it's so much more quality, in my opinion, when it's someone who doesn't understand this, standing up for something out of the goodness of their heart that maybe doesn't affect them in any negative way, or they don't relate to in any way. So that's why I'm thankful for the position I'm in, and I hope to inspire people to see where that is honorable. When I bring this particular story to you of somebody in my atmosphere, of whom I've been praying for all year, showing me why the Lord loves them as much as he does. That character that's in them, that love that's in them, that make them want to do more than what they're asked to. It's honorable, man. And so that's what I wanted to say to y'all. At the end of the day, man, not all of us are able to find compassion in spaces from which it's not awoken. And that's why we gotta show so much appreciation to those who have it inherently, who display it. to tell those people that they are very, very important, and dare I say special, because they harbor a certain gift that many do not have. And that's unselfish compassion, unselfishness to a degree that helps the world be a better place, one action and one effort at a time. And so, yeah, shout out to all those people who care, man. Shout out to all those who are doing more, especially when it doesn't benefit them, especially when they're not getting paid for it. You know what I mean? But even some of those who do, first responders and doctors and teachers and all these people that contribute to the environment of people being better, I salute you today, man. And I want to just pay forward the energy of your example to the best of my ability, with more and more intention on being fearless with my voice. Bdf 44, I thank you all for watching. I'm out.